Okay, we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into the weekly NFL show for BTB Analytics. Kevin, Seth, and Steve back with you as usual. Little late for the stream. Apologies, our college football episode went a little late, but we are all good. So hopefully we'll get some fellow DGens and followers in here going along with us for this ride. Week 10 in the NFL. Pretty wild. So we got a lot of good matchups to break down as usual, some data, some best bets, model predictions, all the good stuff. You know it. Let's get into it. Let's start the show.
Give a damn about a hater when I feel like it. Not today, not today, not today, not tomorrow. Get out my way, please. I'm trying to get paid. Not today.
Alrighty. Welcome in, everyone. Hey, Cats on Horses. Shout out. Nice name. I love that. Hey, what's going on, man? All right. We got to jump in, boys. We got a lot of good matchups to talk about this week. Let's just go right into Thursday night football. Potentially best one of the year, maybe potentially. Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens. This one should be good. We don't have an official play on this one. Model leans to Bengals on this one. We make the number 5. But this one, Steve, is like a clash of styles, really, because the Bengals are number 2 in the league in pass rate over expected, and Baltimore's number 29. You got one team who just loves to air it out. I don't know if they're doing it by necessity, but then obviously on the flip side, Baltimore just running the rock with King Henry. I think he already has 1,000 yards, if I saw that correctly. So it's crazy what he's doing over there.
Yeah.
And then one other thing, and I want to get your take on it too, like clash of styles. But then defensively speaking, the Bengals in this one are the second worst team in the league in EPA per rush allowed. So how complicated is this one really? Then just give the king 25 plus totes, and Baltimore walks away with this one.
Yeah, and this is one. God, I'm gonna love watching this game, and quite frankly, you can talk me out of betting either side or betting on either side, really, because like you said, this is a clash of styles, and not just what these teams like to do, but what the opposing defense is bad at stopping. Right? I mean, you talk about how Cincinnati is really bad at stopping the run. We've been talking about it all season. Baltimore is really bad at stopping the pass, which doesn't bode well for a team who likes to throw the ball, and as Joe Cool does. So yeah, I'm with you. I mean, if the Baltimore Ravens are going to have a legitimate shot at this game, you're going to have to stay on down. You're going to have to feed King Henry the rock. But what they've been doing really well is, even though they may be running Lamar a little bit less than the years past, they're really good at getting their receivers, Zay Flowers, things like that, involved in the run game as well. So I think for me, it's run the ball, get creative running the ball, and do that all damn day, and leave open those shots for Lamar to hit up the receivers. Now the question is going to be, can they stay in that mode where they can stay on down, they can afford to run the ball all day and not have to force Lamar to throw the ball? I think we've seen Baltimore be a little bit better on both sides of the balls overall recently. And so I kind of like their chances. And again, this is one, I believe, I forgot what week that was, but this was the miracle game, right? Because we were on Baltimore last time. This is the miracle. They had no business to win that game, got it to overtime, and then Derrick Henry did his damn thing. So hard to beat a divisional foe twice, but I like Baltimore's chances.
Yeah, one other thing I had too is, Seth, Baltimore is, and I know this isn't particularly something that we use or feel is incredibly predictive, but it's noteworthy, I think, from a couple different perspectives. Baltimore is last in the league in allowing explosives in the pass game. They have I think it's 32 explosive plays already. And Bengals on the flip side are one of the worst teams in generating explosives. I don't know if they're going to get T. Higgins back. He's been out a couple of games, but even is that a cure? Is that perfect storm for Bengals to get right and kind of maybe play upset in this one and take down the Ravens, and going up against that pass defense who is susceptible basically to the big plays, and can Joe Burrow just do his thing, like coming off a 5 touchdown week? Is there enough there for him to keep it rolling?
So 2 things. I mean, the market has been buying the 6.5, plus 6.5 for Bengals. So this is now sitting at 6. Our model points in that direction. Someone in the chat was saying they're all going to be on Cincinnati. I think that's probably the right play here, in my opinion, on a side. We're not playing it. The edge is just too small, but where there is smoke, there's fire, and pass funnels, baby. Baltimore couldn't be more of a pass funnel than they're like literally the archetype for pass funnels. And what do you know? Bengals more greater than average EPA per play, and they're about average in matchups. This team is a team that is passing the ball 4% more than an average team. Their pass rate over expected is again 4%. What do you know when you run the Sims? Joe Burrow over 23 or 24 receptions, EV all day.
Completions,
Completions all day. So I think you're probably, it depends on how conservative you want to be. I think I'd probably look at this DraftKings over 24 and a half completions minus 105 versus laying the 128. I think this team is going to throw the hell out of the ball. Now, obviously, that correlates with explosives. I've never looked in the NFL about explosives. From what I've seen in college, it doesn't actually bear any fruit. It's not predictive. It's more explanatory. But I think this is the angle in this game. Joe Burrow, maybe you can look at some of the wide receivers, targets, or yards. But I think I like you can see 3-1. And that one loss was the Detroit game where they won by 50 and they had to pull the starters in the fourth quarter. And we had over 12 and a half carries and he had 12 carries. So he did that in 3 quarters. So this methodology pinpoints what teams are looking at, right? They have the same data we do. And in a short week, I think a team is going to tend to do what they already do. And in this case, the Bengals are a team that throws the ball. So I say all that. I think that's the better bet. I definitely will be having some of those Burrow completions for sure.
Okay, you heard it here on live.
Yeah, a little free play action for you guys in the chat there.
Yeah, I think if DraftKings will let me, I'll take that over 24 and a half minus 105.
Yes, shout out. Yeah, it should be good one. Should be another fun matchup. Finally, I think that was a Halloween matchup. Oh yeah, that Jets game wasn't very good, but this one should be fun. Market is expecting, I think, those explosives, generally speaking, to kind of come to fruition. I think this is over unders at like 50, if I'm not mistaken.
Jets game wasn't good, but we
53 and a half. Yeah,
wow.
So market is expecting points in this one.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Seth?
How about them? I said that the Thursday night game last week wasn't good, but we covered. So that makes it one of the best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fair enough.
And
all right, moving on.
Catches of the season.
Yeah,
don't think I would have seen it unless I was
Street Impala saying he just locked it in. Joe Burrow over completion. Shout out. Let's get it, boys and girls. All right, let's move on from Thursday Night Football. Let's go on to another matchup on the Sunday slate here. We're going Pittsburgh Steelers and the Washington Commanders. Again, a little lean from a mouse perspective on the Steelers here. We made the number 2. Let's see. He's cats on under. Oh, sorry. But I guess is anyone, Seth, you in particular, I'm looking at you just because in the past we've had these conversations about Washington. Are we finally on the same page as I don't know, I guess the rest of the world basically, and that this team is legit? Or is there still a reason to think that, okay, maybe pump the brakes, maybe regression is on the horizon here?
No, I guess we're not on the same page. I mean, our model has Pittsburgh winning this game by 2 points. So the reality is, I'll walk through the numbers. Washington is a good team, no doubt about it. Number 2 in pass, number 2 in rush on offense, and then defensively they struggle a bit more, but they're a little bit more average. Washington 15th stopping the pass, 24th stopping the rush. But what is the one trend that you've seen with Washington? They struggle against that next level of tier in NFL. It's not talent, whatever you want to call it, that next tier of NFL team, and specifically defenses. We've seen this team struggle against Baltimore. They couldn't cover a 6.5 point spread. We saw this team struggle against Chicago. I'm sorry about the ending of that game, Steve, but you know, the defensively, Chicago had success there. They didn't just do whatever they wanted to do in that game. And what does Pittsburgh do well here? I can't comment on offensive efficiency, them being an elite team, but defensively, Pittsburgh is an elite defense. And so I do agree with the model here that this seems to be the recipe where we see Washington quote unquote be normal. And quite frankly, the only reason we aren't losing or winning money, depends on who you ask, against Washington, is because we're using priors. And unfortunately for Washington Commanders, they were dog shit last year. And so those priors make this team be pretty bad. But there's still a rookie quarterback. And I'm not lining up yet to. I mean, what is their ATS record?
Yeah, I would love to know. I'm not sure, but just yes. While Steve's getting that, just in this one, I mean, the market just today has already moved to 3. So pretty much 3 is across the board now, up from 2.5. So early movement towards Washington,
Early fools.
I guess.
Washington ATS 7-1-1 this year.
7-1-1. So okay. So hear me out. That one is Baltimore. And we bet against them. So we're 100% betting on or against them. Like, we haven't got this wrong. We're not actively betting against this team and they're kicking our ass. We're just not betting on them.
Adams, did I take them more than once? He says I've taken them. I've picked them a lot, maybe off the numbers. Maybe
you off the numbers. You've been glazing them all year. What do you mean I take them more than once?
but
joke's on us because you're winning.
But I think broadly, I think the point is twofold. One, to Seth's point about how much the priors affect what you're seeing this season with the numbers, and when you have a team goes from really shitty to all of a sudden really good off the charts, particularly on one side of the ball offensively, there's some things that could be missed, with the model. But then secondarily too, with rookie quarterbacks in particular, you have, generally speaking, just high variance outcomes. Like it's difficult for rookies to succeed generally, but you have in any given class 1 or 2 that's really going to probably outperform. And this has just been kind of the perfect storm of both of those things. You have really mismatched priors with the Commanders and a rookie quarterback who is just outperforming expectation.
Well, I take it back. I don't think we do have mismatched priors. Washington offensive EPA in the last 15 games, 10th in our database. They're the 10th best offense.
Well, we're 10 games into the season now, though. So we got 10 games of
of course. So I'm saying the priors are kind of more accurate on who this team is, in my opinion. And defensively, we have them 25th. So I don't think the priors are really all that inaccurate. Again, they're 7-1. I'm surprised to hear that. But again, we're not actively betting against them. We're just not betting on them. And the one time we bet against them, we covered.
Yeah, I think you might see a CJ. Like, this is a CJ Stroud trek. Like, the regression is probably not going to hit until the playoffs or maybe even next year,
which would suck because that is when Daniels will flip to non-rookie. And so look, I mean, put him up, buckle up. If these guys are the real deal, Holyfield, we will be betting on them soon.
Yeah. No, I think that's good. And, and to that point, we talk about the Commanders and what they've been doing here. And we talk about how great their offense is, but you look at, where they struggle or what other teams can do, because one of their Achilles heel has been that defense. And while they have been slowly getting better over the year, you kind of have to look at their opponents, right? I mean, they're dominating the likes of the Giants, the Browns, the Panthers, the Bears, and the Giants again, who all, I think we can all agree here, objectively have bad offenses. They had a really good win against the Bengals, but that was really early on to the year. The Bengals, I mean, what they started, was it 0-3 they started? That's a different team. They're really kind of finding their stride there. And then, like Seth mentioned, the one time they did play against a pretty elite offense in the Ravens, we were on the Ravens and they ended up covering that 6, I think we had there. So they won by 7.
6.5. Yeah, it was less than a under possession.
Right, 100%. So I guess I say all that to say, we have seen them put up points, and we have seen that offense light the scoreboard. I think Steelers are a different breed, a different category as we talk about their splits, especially on the defensive end with pass and rush. We know pass is what the Commanders love to do, but again, let's not sleep on the Steelers offense. I mean, we've talked about this multiple times on this podcast. They are sneakily efficient. It may not look pretty, but that's what they get done. And now with Russ back there, someone who's been a Justin Fields supporter as a Bears fan, I mean, Russ is doing what he needs to do with that offense. So, I'm with you all the way, Seth. This is one of the ones I think as a fan, the trendy pick is, Commanders are doing so great. But this is why you use data in the model. And I think it's pretty spot on here.
3.5. If it gets to 3.5 before tomorrow, which is not going to, we will bet that. I will bet that. We'll be giving
Yeah.
that out.
Yeah,
So-
that'd be a big number. So, okay, sounds good. Yeah, I'm fascinated to see what they do against the Steelers D for sure. So should be a good one.
Yeah,
All right,
and
let's
Chad,
move
shout
on.
out. I think that's kind of exactly what I was thinking.
Yep.
Chad.
Yeah, running up the record against the weak division, weak opponents. Yep. So, all right, let's move on to a potentially interesting one. I don't know from an injury standpoint if there's much ado about nothing here, but we'll see. Broncos and the Kansas City Chiefs. So, full disclosure, we'll talk about it later. We're on Chiefs minus 8.5 in this one. Mahomes hurt his ankle, I believe it was,
He's
and then he came
fine.
back
He's
in. Like he's
fine.
probably like the Taylor Swift like voodoo magic just like healed him instantaneously. You know, it's just I don't know what the hell's going on over there. So yeah, he gets injured and he just stays in. So yeah, we'll see how much this affects his play. But yeah, the one thing talking about the Commanders and going up against the defenses and the teams that they have, I didn't get a chance to double fact check to this. Maybe you guys have it or can confirm here, but the Broncos are one of the best passing defenses in the league. I have them as that number 4 against the pass, but kind of mediocre average against the rush here. So I don't hate this. I don't hate this play, or I don't hate the value here. I mean, Mahomes is inevitable, as we all kind of know, and if they might just already be talking about going for the undefeated streak, man. I don't know. So it should be fascinating. I just am not really sold on what the Broncos have going on. And again, with another rookie quarterback there, you're just going to have a lot of inconsistent play there. So I say all that, Seth, let me get your take on it, because with the Mahomes potential injury and given where the Broncos are defensively, I will be keeping an eye on a couple of props that I want to just briefly talk about.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, Denver's defense has been very good this year, but it's almost a similar idea about Washington. They've done and had that elite kind of performance against these lower tier teams. You saw what happened when they went against one of the most efficient offenses last week, and they couldn't do much stopping that. And this is a divisional game, so I don't want to overplay this, but yeah, I wrote in the notes, Mahomes is inevitable. He somehow continually outplays his statistics. He's done this over and over. He reminds me a lot. He reminds me a lot of himself. He's Patrick Mahomes. He's the GOAT right now. But he reminds me right now a lot of Joe Burrow in 2020 or 2021 when they went to the Super Bowl, where statistically speaking, Cincinnati was just playing out of their mind. Like you should have mathematically faded them in every single one of their games, and they just were inevitable. And it feels very much this way. The other thing too is Denver is struggling offensively. Bo Nix is, I don't know. I'm not the coach there, but he is right now negative 2.9 expected points added per game. So I mean, he is costing that offense points versus an average quarterback. So I don't know. He's obviously a quarterback. He needs to, he's learning, he's growing. I don't know if this is the game to do it against this defense, because this team is elite. And you saw what Tampa Bay could do, but I think Baker is in a different stratosphere than Bo Nix.
Yeah, 100%. And this is my conspiracy theory here. I don't know if you guys watched that play when he went down, but there's a camera angle when Mahomes tweaked down and they were looking, his teammates came to pick him up, and he's like, "I'm fine." And then he got up, and then they did the whole thing. They walked him off, and then he was jogging. I'm completely convinced that he was just milking that injury to get the crowd kind of into it, kind of like what LeBron does, if we're being honest here. So yeah, I don't think the injury thing is going to be an ankle here personally, but we'll see what happens on the injury report. But I'm with you, Seth. I mean, we talk about this team, and outside of that one, again, unfortunately for us, that one beatdown against Tampa Bay, this Denver Broncos team really has not looked good when you go up against good passing offenses. And again, we used Baltimore last week as an example, where they put up 41 points. So I do expect more of the same. And the one thing I have here, we talked about it last week, and we saw it come to fruition a little bit. But again, DeAndre Hopkins looked pretty damn good in that offense, right? Yeah. And so now you give him another week with the playbook. I mean, he had a critical, kind of call it a bad route late in the game when they were trying to drive to hit the game-winning field goal in regulation, where he didn't stop and Mahomes, wanted him to stop there. That stuff's going to be buttoned up as the weeks go on. So this offense is only going to get better. Mahomes is only going to get more inevitable. So I love the spot here, especially against a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, and we'll see. I'm going to keep a close eye on the injury report this week for him, and if he doesn't end up with an injury designation, then I think all bets are off on this one, so to speak, from my perspective. But if he does have one, I can just only imagine that everyone's going to be in his ear about playing it safe, not trying to scramble, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah,
I disagree. I'm sorry, I disagree. I mean,
really,
we've seen Mahomes battle lower leg injuries all throughout his career, and that's what he still scrambles. He still goes for the first down. I forgot what it was called, but there was the documentary Quarterback on Netflix where they had like it was him and what's his face, Marcus Mariota, all that stuff. And Mahomes talks about all this PT agility work that he does to do that. I could be wrong here, but I highly disagree, Kev. I think that's a bad tree you're barking up.
okay, maybe it is
under like rushing attempts or rushing yards.
I was mainly going to hit it from the perspective of over rushing attempts for the running backs. Like,
oh, okay, so they're going to get more share.
Yeah. I think the share of carries, or I think they'll maybe lean on that a little more, and try to protect him from that perspective, particularly if the game script kind of plays out from the standpoint of if they're going to cover a double-digit spread effectively, then why lay him out in harm's way. So we'll see. Again, I'm gonna monitor it. It's kind of an injury angle, kind of secondary arbitrage angle, but we'll see. We're early in the week still. So
I don't see a world where there's any advantage to not have him on that report.
Oh yeah. I guess that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, just keep him on there. So to
yeah,
speak.
whether he's actually injured or he's not injured, like there's no advantage to be like, no, actually he's fine. Like, to your point, some validity of that angle, Kevin. I mean, this team's pass rate over expected 0.003. So what does that mean? It means this team is extremely balanced. They're throwing and running at a very balanced rate. So if you're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4 extra rushes, that could be the difference. So, I'm kind of leaning a little bit more towards Steve's opinion. I don't know that it actually is meaningful, but for the angle you're trying to approach it, you could, if you just got 2 extra rushes, that might cash something.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll see how it goes. But like I said, early in the week, so we'll see what happens. So, go Chiefs though. Let's go undefeated. Why not? All right, boys. Let's move on down the line here.
They do? I don't even know.
Something like that, probably.
Okay.
All right, let's move on before someone gets in trouble. All right, Lions and the Texans. How about it? Next matchup here. Again, another model play that we're on. We're on Houston plus 3.5. I hear the vomit in the background. I felt the same way. We collectively felt the same way last week about Tampa Bay. Yes. A very similar kind of situation, though, right? Because Texans now down Diggs, down Collins. Tampa Bay was down Evans and down Chris Godwin and a couple of other issues going on, right? And what did Tampa Bay do? They just go out and cover against the Chiefs. So yes, I don't disagree with the visceral feeling. Like it's ugly. It doesn't feel right. But the what actually makes me want to actually vomit with this one as opposed to last week is the quarterback play here. Believe it or not, Baker Mayfield is outplaying CJ Stroud this year.
Oh, I believe it.
And by a relatively comfortable margin. Baker's a top 10 EPA per play quarterback. CJ Stroud's like 20th. I hate the model here, says Cats on Horses. Yeah, no, we come across these spots every so often. So
and they usually cover.
You're not alone.
We need a cover rate like of games we hate. What is the actual cover rate? It's probably like 60+%. Yeah. So not only in this one, Seth, is Diggs and Collins out, which those two combined account for a 37% target share. Yeah, when they're on the field together. Now they're potentially down Will Anderson Jr., their top edge rusher, which is a big deal for Goff, who's a pocket passer only effectively. So again, we show value here on the Texans, but what do you think the game script is given those factors for Texas to pull out the cover here? Yeah, well, I mean, once you start looking under the hood here, it kind of is just 3.5 in an NFL game is just a lot. But I want to point that you talked about Mayfield better than Stroud, but one thing I thought was interesting in our 10-game EPA sample, which is something that drives our model, Goff is 5.8 points added per game. Stroud is still at 3.1 points added per game. So this is not some terrible difference in quarterback play in that last 10 game sample. I think that's compounded by, if you look at CJ Stroud's home and away splits, he plays much, much, much better home. And I think that's potentially driving the model here a bit.
Yeah.
I ran this numbers with, the quarterback, our rookie methodology removed, using every single one of his games. You get the same number. If you remove, if you use our rookie methodology, you get 0 both times. So, I mean, it's more stable in a larger sample size, and then it's more stable in you get the same thing in our normal forecast. Look, it feels gross. It does, but I think Houston's defense hopefully can step up, and I think that's where this game is. It's just going to be a ground and pound game, a lot of running the ball, and Detroit wins by 3. It feels gross, guys.
When's the last time Detroit won by 3? They're fucking winning by 30 and 40 and shit this year.
Well, they've lost twice, haven't they?
They've lost once. Well, somebody's going to have to fact check.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, they're going to lose this game, and so I'm already.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go finish your thought.
I was just going to say, so some interesting, behind the scenes here. So we bet the games early Monday morning rather than late Sunday night, and this opened at 3.5 and got bought at all of the books to 3. And so we didn't initially give it out because 3.5 wasn't available, and that's where pretty much all the EV comes from.
Yeah, they've only lost one game, and they lost to the Bucs week 2.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, but then today the market bought it back to 3.5. It's too immature of a market for us to not buy it, especially because if we would have bet it on Sunday night, we would have just been right where we would have been. So we had to give it out. We did bet it. It's gross. It's gross, but we've had early market agree with us. Now the little bit more mature market disagrees with us.
Sure.
But we're in a little bit of company here. We're not on an island.
True.
Yeah. And the Lions just traded for that pass rusher from the Browns. How much play does he get? Oh man, there's just a lot of things that lining up to be fucking.
It could be bad.
One of those weeks.
It could be bad. It's just 1 out of 6 games.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, I have nothing for you guys here. I have nothing uplifting or positive to say. I mean, again, we did say last week, we were in the same spot. We were on Bucs +9, and the whole thing was, oh man, no Chris Godwin, no Mike Evans. But, we saw the Buccaneers in the week prior, really feed Cade Otton the ball, get Bucky Irvin more involved, etc. But, man, this one, I really can't make that argument. I mean, I'm on it, right? It's gross. And it's just, for me, it's like the one thing I have trouble with too, Seth, is, I do think it has to be that kind of ground and pound game. But yeah, Houston's defense is better against the run, but the Lions are still pretty damn elite at running the ball. So, what do you even do there? I mean, I'm with you though. When we hate these bets collectively across the board, those are the ones that tend to cover more often than not. So I'm hoping the trend continues here.
It should be another good primetime game though. This is a Sunday night game as well, so should be a fun one at least. But
yeah,
all right.
Yeah. And the positive here is if it's a blowout by Detroit, I get to go bed early, so I don't have to stay up and be tortured by it. So it's actually a win-win.
All right, another shout out Michael. He was in our college football podcast as well, stream. And another decent question here: do you ever hold off on placing wagers because you feel like it's going to move in your favor? It's $1 million question, Michael. We hear that from time to time. The answer is you never know what the market is going to do. Basically, you can you can think what's going to happen, and you can be somewhat anticipatory, maybe because of injury news or whatever. But you just never know what the market is going to do, frankly. And I think there's going to be spots where you could probably pick a game or two, and you get ahead of the curve. But it's going to even out probably in the long run. You're going to pick games where you think it's going to come back to you, and you can wait to bet it, but it never does, and then you miss out on EV. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd answer it this way, which is that remember what realistic CLV looks like. 55 to 60% of your games you're betting. So you're better off just betting all of your games and then measuring CLV to see 55 or 60% rather than trying to also then forecast which games are going to would actually give you negative CLV and then get a better number. I mean, this whole like, what is it? Bet favorites early, bet dogs late. Like, I think that's a relative rule of thumb for bettors that have no sophistication to them. But for something like us, where we have a forecast relative to a number, we just need to act on that number versus like, oh, well, we think the omnipotent market's going to do this. We'll wait. If we knew that, then we would have more information than the model. Like
right.
It's just you get in your head too much. That's my opinion.
Yeah. And I want to say, I was gonna say real quick. I used again last week as an example, right? You had Buccaneers down the top 2 receivers. You had the DeAndre Hopkins news. Andy Reid came out, kind of around the time we were placing the bet, saying that he is going to have Hopkins more involved in offense. And after we got that, I mean, I think I dipped from Bucs +9 to +8.5, and then it came back and settled at 9. So I think that's one of those games where
ended up closing at 8, but right before kick. So it's like,
never in a million years would I have thought that would have been the line movement. So it's kind of hard to
Yeah. And then Michael, last thing, in the current iteration of the NFL model, like it's very difficult, borderline impossible to be competitive in a mature, later in the week at close, and our model cannot do that. So the later you get in the week, the more information is available, the more the 1% of bettors who have the most sophisticated models are betting into these markets. And you are then betting on information that is not in your model. And therefore
one thing I can tell you, basically, if all of the games are still available on game day, we're going to have a bad week. Our model, well, not necessarily a bad week, but it's going to be hard to be profitable. At close, pretty much consistently, our model will do pretty much like 49 to 50%. What we add to the market is engulfed by Wednesday by a long shot. So there's just basically our angle comes from quarterback play. We model quarterback play in a specific way, and that's where we get our angle. By Wednesday, other things engulf that angle, injuries being one of them. But I would challenge you as a bettor. You have to be insanely. I'm going to be a little bit offensive. You have to be more sophisticated than you are with a 99% certainty to quantify injury edges in the NFL. You can't believe how sophisticated that needs to be. And so I challenge you to start betting at open. You're going to probably see a lot more wins.
Yep. So good question, Michael. Appreciate it. Yeah, there's always a lot of nuance to these type of things. So, but appreciate the discourse. Okay, that was Sunday Night Football. Let's do one more matchup, huh? Monday night, Dolphins against the Rams. Another one that we're on. We're on LA -2 on this one. So our number made it 4 or makes it 4. I think this is still at 2. Let me just verify.
2.5.
2.5. So really now across the board. So yeah, early right side. But yeah, this one for me, we talked about it in one of the earlier matchups. I forget which one exactly, but this idea of priors and a rolling game sample says that we use. Mentioned it a little bit last week too with Miami, because there's been how many games now in the past 10 or 15 games with Tua not as the starter for Miami? 4?
I think it was 4 this season and none last season.
Exactly.
And okay, yeah. So to the extent, Seth, do you think any of the edge that we're picking up is still kind of overcompensating for that element of it?
Not really, because when we look at EPA per play for quarterback, that's just relative to the games they've played and the plays they've played. So, Tua is not getting punished for that. And then when we use our quarterback category, again, only contributing to games he has played. So, no, I don't. And quite frankly, looking under the hood, Tua's numbers are concerning. He's -3 points, expected points added per game in the last 10 games. I mean, that's quite interesting. Now, Miami has had to rely on the run quite a lot this season, and it makes sense. I think that's because they've had a lot of interesting quarterback play, including when Tua went down. But you'll see there 11%.
Interesting is a euphemism. It's been shitty.
Yeah, it's been shitty, and they've been running the ball basically 11% more than an average team, which again makes sense given their opportunities there at quarterback. I mean, look, we saw this team wake up a bit against a divisional opponent in Buffalo, but quite frankly, other than if they don't get that interception at the goal line, does that scoreboard look quite differently? And that's one play that's highly levered. I like this play, which I don't know if that's good or bad, but I think the Rams are playing quite well, especially when Nakua and Kupp are in that lineup. Hopefully, Puka doesn't go throwing any more fists this week and get ejected. But I like this matchup for LA's offense against Miami's defense.
Yeah, Steve, I think that's probably one of the key factors in this one, right? Because presumably Puka Nakua doesn't do any stupid shit, and he's available for the full game. Cooper Kupp another game back, and him and Stafford in that connection. Rams are a top 5 offense in terms of success rate. So they're just churning and burning, like they're sustaining drives. And Miami is, I don't know exactly where they rank, but you can kind of okay, yeah. So they have a negative expected points on defense, so they're better than average. But I think LA has added in a weird roundabout way via injuries and people coming back and whatnot. They've added a lot of pieces and now might just be hitting their stride. And the Dolphins, to Seth's point, I don't know if there's lingering issues or just what's going on, not enough time on the field together, but the Dolphins just generally have not looked the same as they did last year.
Yeah, and that makes sense, right? And I think that we see a lot of people talk about how Miami's offense is looking better and, quite frankly, playing better than when you had all the backups in, which is of course to be expected. But you can say the same thing about LA, right? I mean, man, this is a team that was without for a stretch Cooper Kupp and then didn't have Puka Nakua for a couple of games at the same time. And now that you're seeing all those pieces back on the field together, this offense is clicking. So I think both of these teams' offenses are on the upswing. The difference here for me is that I trust LA a little bit more to kind of put all the pieces together there. I mean, talk about their defensive struggles, but I think the one thing that Miami has going forward is because Tua was out and they couldn't throw the ball, they had to rely on the run more and they had to get better at that. They're still pretty poor overall. We take a kind of a step back, but I think they have improved in the last couple of games. And I think that's where Tua's presence can really be felt to kind of open up those running lanes. But all things being said here, I think the upward trajectory is on the Rams, and they're a sneaky good team.
Yeah, makes sense. I agree with that generally, and just as a kind of a good segue, since we're gonna after the landscape, we're gonna go into off the numbers, but the fact that you do like this pick, Seth, might actually give me some concern, just because you are
dog shit.
You're in the doghouse.
But I like it because the model likes it.
The out, yes. All right, save yourself. All right.
Look, like it's like I'm copying off the math test. Like, I agree that the number is 3. But the Google said it was 3, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
First, if you're like, what's the answer, Seth? I'd be like, I don't know. Miami's due, baby. Pins up.
Do theory. I love it. All right, let's hit zoom out. That's all the matchups we got for NFL this week to discuss. Let's take a look at the landscape here using EPA per play, both offensively and defensively. Talked about the Commanders a little bit, like almost not quite, almost breaking the chart in terms of the scale here, but Baltimore not really far behind. It's just crazy what they're doing too. They look insanely good. But the one team one of the teams I want to get your guys' opinion on here is the Jets. Now, they've been kind of written off in some respects already, but they're coming into Arizona this week. They're going against the Cardinals. I don't know if that Houston game last week on Thursday Night Football could have been maybe one of the jump off points for them, or do you guys think this team is still just basically mid as we're kind of showing them here? They scare me a little bit. I think they could catch a stride is basically what I'm getting at. I think they're not as bad as what their record indicates.
To Steve, you want to go first?
Yeah, I disagree. I think they are just as bad as their record indicates. You can't really convince me otherwise. I mean, yes, you can. Okay, let's
Can't do it.
Yes, you can argue that they've definitely underperformed given the pieces they have on there, the Garrett Wilsons, the Sauce Gardners, this and that. I get that,
Sure.
but yeah, I mean, I think when you look at it, can they beat up on bad teams? Sure, but can they beat good teams? And we've seen them time and time again not be able to do that. They couldn't beat the Vikings. They couldn't beat the Bills. They couldn't beat the Steelers, right? And so then you throw in losses to the Patriots. To me, that's concerning. Losses to the Broncos. So I don't know, man. I'm not sure how much they can get in their stride. Now, I'll give you this. They have the Cardinals, the Colts. But on the back end, they still have to play the Seahawks, the Dolphins, the Rams, the Bills, and the Dolphins again. So no,
Okay.
I don't think this team is going anywhere this year.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm a little not biased isn't the word, but I'm drinking a little bit of the hopium, I guess, just because got those positions for them for the Super Bowl future, which is effectively almost at this point all but dead. Like the cash out value is like 20%.
Yeah,
the
you can
original
get a
ticket.
better number now. Much better.
For sure, much better.
I actually kind of agree with you, Kevin. I think you've seen a lot of negative variance. If we go back to some of the games that they lost recently, you're talking missed PATs, dropped catches. And even in that first half of that Thursday night game, it was kind of like, okay, here we go. It's going to be the same old bullshit. But then they got something together in that second half. Look, I don't know if they can catch a fire, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I think you have seen negative variance with this team. And just if they see a couple things bounce in their direction, that they're gonna quote unquote look like a good team. Now, Steve, in your argument, I agree with most of it, but I do want to point out when you were listing those teams, you're like Vikings, Bills, forget the other team. Those are all good teams. So as the Jets are right now, an average team. I mean, okay, it's fair to lose against some of those teams. Obviously, that Denver loss looks pretty concerning right now, but I wouldn't be so surprised if they ended up winning, more games than they lose in this like next 4 or 5 sample. But I don't know that I don't think they're a deep, Super Bowl contender.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I'm not going that far. I'm not delusional, but
yeah. Well, I guess my point was, to give them credit, I don't think they're the ass of the ass. I don't think they're the Panthers or the Giants. But I guess, going up against a good team as a metric, I don't know what they're doing there. And I guess for me, they're 3-6. Like, yeah, they're second in the AFC East, but they're 3-6. The Bills are 7-2. And so you're looking at wild card at best, and you're going to have to beat some of those, really good teams to get there. So I guess for me, that's kind of where my pessimism comes from.
Yeah. And to put some numbers to this, the Giants have a more efficient overall offense than the Jets as of right now in our 15 game sample. The Jets are -7.4, but the Giants are only -6.3. So a point better than the Jets here in our samples. So
insane.
Yeah, I don't know. I won't be surprised if we bet on them a couple more times this season. If you can get Rodgers in the right spot, it's probably going to be good value just because the market's so sold on this team.
Sure.
Yeah. I would love to see what their number is against the Jaguars. I think for me, that's the one. I'm like, that's a bet I can get behind.
The Jag. Yeah. We're going to talk.
I'm surprised. Yeah, I'm surprised. Well, it's probably because they end up backdoor covering. God damn it, against the Eagles, even though they lost. But I'm surprised Doug Peterson didn't get fired. Like Dennis Allen.
Dude, you've been calling for Doug Peterson to get left in London, to get left in fucking Philly.
You wanted to get left in Philly. You would. I'm not sure if you would have got murdered or would have be given a house, because that was the last time he was the head coach and they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's true. Yeah, but all right, sounds good. We truck on as we normally do here. So let's move on to off the numbers for this week, guys. So just for anyone who's not familiar, again, this is our weekly segment where we each of us individually make a pick in the NFL, and we just kind of have a friendly competition and banter as the season progresses here. So I'll kick it off here since I'm the top dog in the NFL, baby, so far. This week I'm running with the Niners -5.5. I have to admit my kind of research or mental model with this one wasn't super crisp or in depth as it has been in the past. So we'll see what it yields. But a couple of general points on this one. Niners coming off a bye, huge rest advantage. Bucs playing Monday Night Football last night, so Bucs off 6 days of rest. Niners off a bye. Shanahan has generally performed well coming off a bye in a standalone spot. Their Niners are still a top 10 offense without Christian McCaffrey. Now, granted, I know they're down they're down Ayuk. And I don't know, is Debo out too? Did I miss that? Or did he come back?
No, he was back from pneumonia. He beat it.
Kevin can't wait to get off the numbers. Yeah, shut out. Oh man. Yeah, so there's still a top 10 offense. All indications are that McCaffrey is going to be back this week, albeit on probably a limited snap count type of thing. Tampa Bay, aside from Washington, on the defensive side of the ball, they are the worst team in echo rate allowed. So they are letting teams drive on them and get to the 40-yard or better. And San Francisco is, offensively speaking, only behind Washington in echo rate. So I kind of, a few things are lining up to me. You know, you got the rest advantage, you got the overall good defense, kind of bad offense for the Bucs. So I'm liking Niners -5.5. Steve, what do you got?
Oh, I got the Eagles -7 against the Cowboys. And, you know, I don't know. I meant to look at this earlier. I don't know where this actually opened up at because I kind of did this last minute.
I think it technically opened at 7.5. It technically opened at 6.5, but then the news came out, and I think the true reopen was 7.5.
Okay, I appreciate that because I would have loved the 6.5 even better, but I don't mind the 7. This is part of the segment, where you can keep your numbers, nerds. Like this is going to be divisional matchup, and the Cowboys are an absolute free fall, dude. You've got Dak on the sideline, getting caught lip reading. We fucking suck.
Oh yeah,
he's hurt with a hamstring. CeeDee Lamb's shoulders fell off. Ezekiel Elliott's getting benched for showing up late to practice and not.
Could you blame him?
With the team? Yeah, no, I don't blame him at all.
They fucking suck. Can you blame them?
Yeah, exactly. You got Jerry Jones, talking bad about the team. Now, I do think they are going to get Micah Parsons back, which would be huge. But this team is just the epitome of a dumpster fire. You throw in a divisional matchup, and to be clear, I'm not high on the Eagles at all. But this is how low I am on the Cowboys that I think that the -7 in divisional play, teams who hate each other, I love it. I love it. Yeah. I love it. I love it. As cats on horses say, fade, 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 fade. And like we like to say, hate. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Okay.
Yeah. I ran the numbers today with Rush in there. We make the number 7. So God bless. Well,
you got some advice though, Seth.
Don't take the Saints. Yeah, they treat you badly.
Oh man, they straight up lost.
Yeah.
To Carolina.
Whatever the Midas touch is right now, you got it.
Well, here we go, baby. Shout out to all the Steelers fans because I'm taking Steelers money line. I think for all the reasons we talked about early in the show, I just think Washington struggles against good defense. Russ looks to be making moves, and we talked about it. What do we see? We saw them make a move at the deadline for a wide receiver. Of all the wide receivers to trade for, I'm not sure why that's the one they went with for a 5th-round pick, but to me, that is a signal that they believe in this passing offense. They believe in this team. They're trying to get Russ some more weapons there. So I don't think that'll play in the number this week, but I do. I'm basically betting this on basically the defense. I think Pittsburgh's defense can slow Washington.
Okay. What number did you get?
I haven't bet it yet, so I'm going to just take money line. Whatever.
Yeah, you can get +138. FanDuel looks like the best out there right now.
Sure. I'll take.
All right, let's pull up the card. Let's pull up the recap just for the minutes. All right, there it is. Yeah, 4-2 for me, Steve. 3-3, and Seth bringing up the caboose. Hey.
Yeah, look, I've been close on a number of these. All right.
Yeah.
That's not even true. I don't think. I think I've actually just got my ass kicked.
No, you get. Yeah, I know. I remember the one I remember was the Saints because I secretly told you because I like that pick. And if you had, I think you took spread. You took money line. If you had spread, you would have covered. Whatever it was.
Yeah, 100%. Well, now everybody can understand the true origin of BTB. I was getting my ass kicked so much. And betting the shit with my brain, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I gotta get a model, man.
Yes. All right. Shut up. Off the numbers, NFL Week 10. Let's go. All right. Last but not least, boys and girls, and appreciate you guys all in the chat commenting.
Yes.
Really, really great for us. Love the engagement. Don't forget to like the video, please, and don't forget if you're not already, please subscribe to the channel. Helps us out a great deal. And we love to keep the content going for you guys. Okay. Last but not least, model predictions for NFL Week 10. Another decent size in terms of volume here. So
6 games.
model right now is 23-20, heading into Week 10.
Yep.
So Seth, without further ado, let's rattle off real quick what we have for this week.
Yep, we have 6 plays, so a pretty healthy card this week. We're on Houston +3.5, Jacksonville +4.5, Buffalo -4.5, Kansas City -8.5. Chargers -7.5, and Rams -2. I think we ended up giving out a 2.5 because the 2s were gone by this time I was writing the email. So 2.5 is fine as well if you can get it. I think it looks like it's headed to 3.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, I mean another week, another fair volume. Houston was technically a late ad, but nonetheless.
Well, it was
there, then it wasn't.
Yeah, like when I was running the numbers, it was there, and then when I went to send out the email, all of the 3.5s got bought, and then for whatever reason today on Tuesday, all of the -3s got bought, so it moved back to 3.5. So if we would have betted on Sunday night or Monday morning, we would just be in the same situation. So that's why we ended up betting it. So it's not it was late technically, but it really isn't late. That's what it opened at.
Yeah, fair enough. So yeah, I mean, I think the only one, I mean, I guess, and I take that back. There's 2 now that I feel personally gross about. It's both Jacksonville and Houston. Other ones, mental model and model kind of line up in my head. But
yeah,
what about for you guys?
For the Jags ones. There's no chance that wins.
No chance, huh?
Zero.
But can we just pause those? This, if you guys who are new here, like this is what you don't get elsewhere. We talk about how you have a bunch of those, the touts out there who scam and BS you all the time. You don't hear the honesty, right? And this is what sports betting is. This is what it looks like to try to do this, in the professional manner where you're kind of throwing aside your mental model, and there's things you feel fucking gross about.
Yeah.
And this is one of them, right?
Yeah, well, and I think it's, again, we talk about this all the time. It's so difficult. You can throw out and you hear 55% win rates. This is what it feels like. It means that in order to catch 55% of the good bets, you're going to have to bet on some horrible ones. And breaking news, that Jacksonville bet might still win, even though it fucking feels like it's a 0% chance. Like that, unfortunately, what a model does. It allows you to quantify things your brain won't even almost allow you to even contemplate. My brain would not allow me to contemplate that bet.
Yeah, same.
Precisely. So
maybe for good
we'll
reason.
see. Yeah. We'll see where the chips fall. But yeah, I mean, it's almost like Groundhog's Day sometimes on these things. Like every week there's 1 or 2 that we don't feel great about, but then hey.
Yeah, we've seen CLV on Jacksonville. It's actually 4 at all the market makers. So that's what I'm saying. It's crazy.
Exactly right. All right, boys. I think that'll do it for us. Appreciate everyone in the chat. Seth says 0% chance, so that means it's a hammer.
Yeah. That's fair.
Gotta love
now
it.
I have bet it. I've bet all these, so
Yeah. That's why they say if you're not betting ugly, you're not winning. Yeah, I've actually never heard that phrase, to be honest, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
whoever said that.
You're right.
I think Michael may have just made that up. That's a Michael.
Hey, you better trademark that now, Michael. That's going to be on a T-shirt before
Shirts are on the way.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, hey, so can you remind me? Do we have the not for this show, but was it Cats? Cats on Horses was asking about Herbert and EPA per play. Do we still do the volatility EPA charts?
I don't have it on the website, but I can run it at any time. Yeah.
Okay.
Does he want to see it now? What is the? I didn't see that.
Oh yeah. He was asking about what Herbert's EPA per play.
Yeah.
This year.
Oh well, I can give us 2 things. So I have his right. Like I can give it to you right now. Herbert for his at least 10 games, his EPA per play in the last 10 games not very good, -2.4. In his career, he is 3.7 points. I can run the volatility chart if everyone wants to hang out for a second.
Yeah, I think the EPA. I think you answered
That's
it.
good
But yeah, it's so like just subjectively and objectively, definitely a downfall. Yeah, no problem casting horses. Yeah, definitely a downfall this year.
Yeah, I mean that team has been really interesting. They did pretty well against Denver. Obviously, then Denver came back late in that game, but they covered. They obviously did the damn thing last week. Yeah, but they're running the ball and they're throwing the ball with okay efficiency.
Yeah. Well, and what's wild too is I think they were 5-12 last year, and they're 5-3 so far. So Herbert has a down point, but
Harbaugh, the quarterback whisperer, Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, but like as a team, you're winning at least as many games you won last year. So
yeah, true. All right, guys, appreciate it. It's been real. Again, thank you to everyone in the chat for engaging with us. It's another week in the books for NFL. So good luck to anyone if you're tailing, if you're a member. Hopefully you got the bets in early as well. But that'll do it for us. We'll be back next week as always. Happy Maction Day.
Yeah. And if you guys want, please subscribe on this. We'll put up the live stream video or the videos for next week, so you can go ahead and hit subscribe so you get that notification the moment we go live. If you love this, please come back. We love the banter, we love the chats. We want to hear what you guys are doing, ask some questions. So the more you come back, the more we love it.
All right, hold on before we go, since I just ran it in between, so we can give in time value.
All right. Pull it up. Make it look sexy.
I'm trying. We're gonna have to help me find him. What's his name again?
Herbert. Justin Herbert. Oh yeah, right below Stafford. Yeah, there you go. While you're cursing.
Yeah. So he's a little bit better in the 9-game sample than in the 10-game sample. So next game will be fully this season. So, but he's technically in the quadrant of elite.
Yeah, you want to be in the bottom right in this.
Yeah, you want to be here. The problem is this is a very fine line. So you go from here to here. It means that you're kind of like consistently shitty. So he's just teetering basically what I would call consistently average. He's got room for improvement. He's going to do it this week. Titans.
Damn straight.
Yeah.
Damn straight.
Or not tighten up.
Tighten down, baby.
Yeah. Loosen up.
All right, boys. That's it. I think we're off the rails almost at this point. So,
yeah.
All right, guys. It's been real. Appreciate everyone hanging out. We'll be back next week. Until then, good night. Good luck. See ya.
Boom. Take care.